Yes.
Hello friends, welcome to the channel Physics by IITians. We are back with another interview question and these questions were asked in IG Car PhD interview. The question is, when two operators commute, what is the significance of that? And the other questions are, write the basis for the spin half system, assume it for an electron, write the wave function as a linear combination of them. So we start our video, we understand and answer the questions thoroughly. Before that, we have an announcement that we are preparing an online test series, so you can join the test series according three schemes, so according to your convention. So I request you to join the test and the cost have been kept minimum for your benefits, so you can join the test by giving this paying this your amount to this link. So let's start the video. So when two operators commute, what is the significance of that? So in quantum mechanics, the commutator tells us if we can measure two observables at the same time or not. If the commutator of the two observable is zero, then what does it mean? That means they can be measured simultaneously in any arbitrary precision. If they do not commute, then there exists an uncertainty relation between the two. Suppose the two A and B, the two operators, A cap, B cap. So the commutation relation is A cap, B cap minus B cap, A cap. So if they commute, that is equals to zero. And if they don't commute, that means it is not equals to zero. So suppose we are taking an example of position and momentum, X and P. And the commutation relation of X cap and P cap is IH cross. That signifies or that means that we cannot measure X or position and momentum simultaneously with any arbitrary precision. There should be an uncertainty relation between the two operators, or the measurement of them are uncertain if we do simultaneous measurement. So the next question, the what write the basis for the spin half system and let us assume it for an electron and write the wave function as a linear combination of them. So we should understand what is the meaning of spin first. So we will discuss about spin thoroughly in this video. The spin was discovered experimentally by Stern and Garlick in 1922, and they found the existence of spin with famous Stern Garlick experiment. In earlier videos, I have discussed everything about Stern Garlick experiment. Please watch the video. So then Pauli introduced a two valued degrees of freedom for electrons because there was splitting. The splitting was the splitting. I mean the two level degeneracy there. So Pauli explained that there should be introduced a two valued degrees of freedom for electrons, but at that moment he failed to develop any physical interpretation of that two valued degrees of freedom of that electrons. In 1925, Chronic suggested that it is the degrees of freedom that is originated from the self rotation of the electron. Means the like the planets, the earth, suppose it is also revolving around the sun and it is also spinning about its own axis. So Chronic suggested that the degrees of freedom, that is the spin or whatever it is at that moment, it was not clear. It should be originated from the self rotation of the electron, just like a planetary motion of the self revolution rotation of earth about its own axis. Now this idea was very much criticized by Pauli, and Chronic did not publish it. He thought that okay, my idea cannot be true. Maybe Pauli has criticized it so much, so he didn't publish it. But the fact is that we all know the Pauli's exclusion principle, famous Pauli's exclusion principle, because at later time Pauli himself introduced so many concepts regarding the spin, developed so many theories regarding the spin. So look here how ridiculous the science is and how ridiculous the fact that the person who was criticizing the fact, then again he himself developed that theory. So Chronic didn't publish that thing, but in the same year, that is 1925, Uhlenbeck and Gaudsmit had a similar idea, and Ehrenfest encouraged them to publish it. So the discovery credit goes to Uhlenbeck and Gaudsmit of the discovery of the spin. So electron has an intrinsic spin with value 1/2. Much of the mathematics of the spin 1/2 was developed by Pauli himself in 1927. Now we should understand what is spin. So let us consider a thought experiments in which we put a few Stern-Gerlach apparatus in series. In the first experimental setup, we measuring the we are putting Stern-Gerlach experiment and we are measuring the spin along z direction. We denote it at z cap. When the spin measurement is along x cap, then we denote it as x cap, and if in y cap, we denote it as y cap. So the electrons beam are going in, suppose we the neutral atoms, the Ag silver atoms for the Stern-Gerlach experiment, and we are measuring spin along the z cap direction. So we get Sz equals to plus h cross by 2, Sz equals to minus h cross by 2. So splitting will be into two levels. Okay. And now if we measure the two experiment, if we do experiment two Stern-Gerlach experiments, like one along the z direction, we measure the spin and we block one component. Suppose we block the negative component of the spin, that is Sz, that is minus h cross by 2, and we only allow the positive component of Sz, that is plus h cross by 2, and we make the measurement of the another Stern-Gerlach experiment and make the measurement of spin along x direction. What it will give? It will give the same results, having Sx equals to plus h cross by 2 and Sx equals to minus h cross by 2 with 50% probability. Now, if we take, if we do three measurements, consecutive experiments of Stern-Gerlach setup, one along z cap, another along x cap, and we block this first one along the minus sz direction. Then we allow only the plus h cross by 2 component. Then the same thing, we now this time we allow only the negative sx minus h cross by 2 component, and we do the repeat the experiment along z cap direction. What we will get? Here we block the spin half negative component, but we again here we can get the same probability of Sz equals to plus h cross by 2 and Sz equals to minus h cross by 2 with 50%. So from this experiment, the set of experiments, we should understand that the spin concept is not a classical one. It is a quantum mechanical. If it is classical, then we never get the spin along Sz equals to minus along z is minus z direction or minus h cross by 2. We always get should always get at Sz equals to h cross by 2, and this component should be 100%. Or you can else think that if something is rotating along z direction, then how the components are along x direction, how there will be components along y direction? There should be no components along x, there should be no component along y. So sx sy should be 0. There should only one component that is along z direction, whether it is positive or whether it is negative. So spin concept is not a classical concept. So quantum mechanically, what spin means? Spin is an intrinsic property of all elementary particles. All known fermions, the particles that constitute ordinary matter, have a spin of half. The spin number, what does it describe? The spin number describes how many symmetrical facets a particle has in one full of rotation. And that, suppose we are taking the spin half particle. What does it mean? The spin half means the particle must be rotated twice, that is 360 plus 360, that is 720 degree, to get or to achieve the same configuration as it was at the initial state or started position. Okay. So we should understand how to represent the spin one half states and its operators quantum mechanically. So Stern-Gerlach experiment suggests that the spin states of the electron can be described using basis vectors or k vectors. So suppose we are describing it basis vector as z and plus, where this is the k vector, and the z is the describing the component of the spin, and plus is the positive or negative, the orientation of the spin is describing. So spin can have two states, z plus and z minus. So these are the two basis vectors. So this will give you the value Sz equals to plus h cross by 2, and this will give you the value Sz equals to minus h by 2, minus h cross by 2. So here you operate Sz on this basis, is on this basis vector, you get this state h plus h cross by 2, or this is the eigenvalue which you can observable eigenvalues, and this is the for the minus h cross by 2. Okay, so the two basis vectors that represent the two-dimensional component complex vector, the two-dimensional complex vector space each vector in this vector space represent a possible state of the electron spin, because these are the two-dimensional vector space we are representing here, and this vector in this vector space is each vector is a possible state of the electron spin. Okay, so the general vector in the two-dimensional space is an arbitrary linear combination of the basis state. Means any general vector psi can be represented with the superposition of the or linear combination of the basis state, that is C1 Z plus this kth vector plus C2 this kth vector. Now let us represent this kth vector as 1 0 or 1 state, and we represent this kth vector as 2 state or 0 1 state. So put this arbitrary psi vector, that is C1 1 plus combinations or superposition of the two states, that is C1 1 plus C2 2. So you put the values of this one state vector and two vector, that is C1 1 0 plus C2 0 1. So we get C1 C2. Now experiment suggests that we have an orthonormal basis, because these are, because how do you understand that these basis vectors should be orthonormal? Why should that? Because the experimental directly suggests that we have an orthonormal basis. The state, that is Z plus, entering the second machine must have zero overlap with Z minus. There should be no overlapping between the two states. They are totally independent of each other. You are measuring along Z direction, it shouldn't overlap with the measurement of X direction. And then you again measuring along Z direction, it should not overlap with the measurement that is you have done along X direction. So that is the meaning, that the orthonormal basis means they are independent. There are no overlapping. There is no overlapping. The overlap of the Z plus with itself must be 1. So these vectors, if we represent as ij, the two different states, that is ij is 1 and 2. So ij is delta ij. It will be only 1 if I equals to j, otherwise it should be 0. Now we take any two states, alpha and beta. So alpha vector kate can be represented as alpha 1 1 plus alpha 2 2, and beta can be represented as beta 1 1 plus beta 2 2. So alpha beta can be written as alpha 1 star beta 1 plus alpha 2 star beta 2. So what does it represent? We represent the states of the two components with the column vectors. The operators here we can represent it by 2 by 2 matrices. So we can represent it Sz as 2 by 2 matrices. So we can write Sz cap equals to H cross by 2, 1 0 0 minus 1. And here we can get the idea of Pauli matrices. How does they come, or how we can develop, how Pauli develop, how Dirac develop the spin theory, the matrix theory of spin, and Pauli development of the concept of Pauli's matrices were done. So the states 1 and 2 are eigenstates of the matrix Sz, and they are orthonormal to each other. Now you may have a question that why we are taking or talking about only the Z direction. Is the Z direction is a special direction? No, not at all. We could have started with any Stern-Gerlach experiment with that measures spin along any direction. That is along, it may be along ZX direction, it may be along measuring along Y direction. So the Sz is equally important as like Sx or Sy. So there is nothing special about Sz. So look here, this way you can visualize the spin state of a system. Look here. So this is defining the state, that is spin plus half, and this is defining a state of spin minus half. This way you can understand it. But you have natural question that if the spin is a vector. No, actually it's spin half system. They are not vectors. They are spinors. Okay. So we understand that. But before that, we should understand what is the connection of these Pauli matrices to the uncertainty principle, or the commutation relation of the Pauli's matrices, that is along X direction, along Y direction, along Z direction. What will be the connection to the uncertainty? So this one consequence of the general uncertainty principle is that the spin projection operators. What are the projection operators? That is Sx, Sy, Sz. So you understand, whenever we are doing any measurement, suppose you are taking the state vector as psi vector. So you are doing any measurement means you are measuring the projection of psi along that direction. Suppose psi is along this way and you are taking your measurement along x direction. How do you measure that? You are taking the projection of psi along x direction. Similarly, if you take the measurement along y direction, along z direction, you are actually taking the projection or shadow of the psi or shadow of that state vector along that particular direction. Okay. So one consequence of the generalized uncertainty principle is that the spin projection operators which measure the spin along a given direction like x, y or z cannot be measured simultaneously. And what does it mean physically? If you cannot measure the spin component simultaneously along three directions, then the whatever we are measuring that is ill-defined. We are although we are telling that Sz is plus h cross by 2, we are not define the Sx and Sy simultaneously. So we cannot measure the spin in simultaneously along the three directions. Okay. And what is the meaning of quantum spin or make a quantum mechanical spin? The mathematically, the quantum mechanical spin is not described by a vector as in classical angular momentum. It is described by complex valued vector with two components called a spinor. There are subtle differences between the behavior of a spinor and vectors under coordinate rotation. So, okay. So what will be the difference between the vector and spinor? The vector can be rotated to it if the vector is rotated with an angle of 360-degree, you can achieve the same configuration like the initial one. But here the difference of spinor with the vector is if you rotate the spinor by 360-degree, that is one full turn, it turns to the negative value, and then again you rotate further rotation of 360-degree, then it transforms back to its initial value again. Why is it so? Because in quantum theory, the state of a particular system is represented by the complex probability amplitude. So one rotation you get, so it is psi, that is mod of psi square, you get psi star psi, you have to take the conjugate, complex conjugate of that particular state. So this will give the absolute value of the amplitude, or it will give the measurement probability of measuring that particular state. So and this all will we do in the quantum Hilbert space, not in the three-dimensional vector space, that is not in the Cartesian coordinate, but the space we will define in quantum mechanics is Hilbert space, and states are the states, that is the superposition of the basis vectors within that Hilbert space. Okay. Now how do you understand that the spin will be state will be reversed for the 360-degree rotation, and it will get back to its initial state with a rotation of 720-degree? There are so many experimental evidences, and these are all experimentally observed fact. Okay. And the experiment like neutron interferometry, in a particular, if a beam of spin oriented spin particles is split and just one of the beam is rotated about the axis of its direction of motion and then recombined with the original beam, the different interference effects are observed depending on the angle of rotation. So in the case of rotation by 360-degree, cancellation effects are observed, whereas in the case of rotation by 720-degree, the beams are mutually reinforcing. So I think you understand what I tried to say, and you understand thoroughly the answer of the question, and you understand it physically. If someone asks you what is the meaning of spin, how do you represent, how the Pauli matrices come, how do you understand it physically, you tell me what is the difference between classical and quantum mechanical spin here, what is the difference between a vector and a spinor. I gave you a lot more information. Hopefully you understand the video, and don't forget to join our test series. It will be a lot more help for you, and I am thankful to those students who have already joined. So please be prepared for your test. That is the first test that is going to held on 16th August 2020. Hopefully, if understand the video, if you understand this video, don't forget to like it. Don't forget to share with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe the channel. Thank you.